Hello, thank you so much for joining me today on Super Pants Gaming. Today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about eBay and some of the rules that I've sort of put together over the years to make sure that my experience is basically as positive as it could possibly be. So the other day I was chatting with a mate, and my mate said that they didn't actually have sort of much luck on eBay, and I sort of explained sort of some of the things that I do to sort of try and make my experience as best as it could be. And then it sort of came out, I thought, maybe this is sort of something that I could stick in a little video and share with you guys, and then, I don't know, maybe there's something for you to take away from this, maybe not, maybe you already sort of do all this, maybe you already sort of know all this, I don't know. But this sort of goes back to, I would say, about 2016, and in a way it was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, and I was like, right, I'm going to start setting rules for what I'm actually doing on eBay. And the game in question, so I'm going to take you back, give you a little tiny story here, was Fighting Angels on the PS2. So this is from back when I was sort of trying to sort of full set the PlayStation 2 and stuff. And I saw this on eBay, and this was bidding sort of thing. And normally, back then, this game used to sort of go through for, I'd say, roughly sort of £12 to £15. And I saw it bid, and it was like a 99p job, sort of with a couple of quid postage. And it was a seller that had never sold anything before, and they'd listed this as, I think it said something along the lines of Fighting Angels PS2 rare like new. And I was like, that sounds good sort of thing. So the pictures weren't very good, but I thought, yeah, they've not sold before, so maybe they're not very good at taking the pictures. That's cool. So I went through and I bid, and luckily I won it. And I won it for, including postage, roughly £6 or something. And and that's where the problem started. So I went to pay for it, as you do sort of thing, and I couldn't pay. So I contacted the seller, and they were like, oh, I've maybe not set this up properly. So I spent the next sort of pretty much day explaining to this seller, basically coaching this seller through setting up PayPal and linking PayPal to eBay and all that sort of stuff, so I could actually pay for the game. I finally paid for it, and they're like, oh, thanks so much for your patience, I'll send it out tomorrow. So I waited, and a week later nothing had turned up. And I was like, oh dear, sort of thing. And I hadn't realised, because I'd bought some of the stuff as well, sort of thing, and the other stuff had all sort of turned up, and I was just sort of going back, leaving feedback for stuff that I'd had for the last week, and I saw it, and I was like, oh my god, that's still not turned up, has it? And so I contacted the seller and basically said, hi, any update on like my Fighting Angels game? And they were like, oh no, I forgot to post it, I'll post it tomorrow. And I was like, oh blimey, it's like, it's best part of a fortnight since I'd ordered it. And somewhat surprisingly, I'd say, because I had a feeling I wasn't getting it, it turned up about 3 days after that, and I was like, oh, excellent. So got it out and had a look, and I pulled it out, and straight away I'm like, well, that does not look like new. And I'll show you guys in a second. You don't know if you can see, there's a little bit of warping in the top up here, so I'm gonna have to take it out and show you, I think. But pulled it out, and the disc is good. The disc isn't bad, but there's surface marks on it. It's nowhere near like new. And the main thing was, let's pop that down. I don't know how well the camera's going to pick this up, but basically it's got a bit of water damage sort of thing. I don't know if you can see, that's clearly not straight sort of thing. So see it mainly there, a little bit down there sort of thing. And yeah. And that was sold to me as sort of like new. So I'll just pop him over there. Back in the day, I wasn't too bothered. I wasn't going to return it. I wasn't really going to complain, because, I'd sort of been sort of around the houses with this anyway. And I was like, it's a cheap copy of Fighting Angels. That's fine, It's probably got it sort of for about half what it should be. So I dare say it's a few quid more now. But, I mean, I guess that's just the state of video games. And I thought to myself, right, so I looked back over the list and it said rare like new, and I said, well, this game isn't rare. It's not rare by any stretch of the imagination. It's not common, but it's an uncommon game, but it's certainly not rare, and it's certainly not like new. So I looked back over a couple of my other sort of pickups from sort of weeks previous sort of thing, and there were a couple of others that had listed the games as rare. And I was like, that's interesting. I look at the condition of these games. Not one of them is in the condition that they'd actually listed it as. It's always under sort of thing. I know what sort of like new games are. I know what new games are. You know what I mean? I know what scratched games are. I know what games with ring discs are like. Yeah, it's pretty obvious to see sort of thing. Yeah, I know games. Where you get what I'm trying to say sort of thing. So I came to the sort of realization that every game that I bought that says rare in the title isn't rare, and also isn't in the condition that they're saying it is. And when I sort of put those two things together, I thought, right, I don't buy any games that say rare in the title, because I think from my point of view, if the seller is willing to lie about the game being rare, because I don't buy rare games, okay? I should probably just touch on that. I don't generally buy rare games because there aren't a lot of rare games really out there. Rarity is sort of semi-subjective, I would say. It's kind of on a scale from sort of common to rare, and rare is the real sort of top-end stuff that you can't go out and buy half a dozen copies right now of. And then, you know, it sort of goes down. You've got the uncommon stuff, the stuff that's not that common, and then the common stuff and that, you know? So it makes me laugh what people call rare. And I'll go on eBay. I'll put a couple of examples up there so you can actually see games that are listed as rare at the moment. And if those games are rare, my name is Shirley and I own 1,000 rare games at least. So, yeah. But no. So rarity may be slightly subjective in a way, but to be totally honest, a game to be rare has to be a game you can't go out and buy half a dozen of. If you can go out and buy half a dozen of it, how rare is it? It's not, straight off. So, because I don't buy rare games, any title that says rare in it, with the exception of maybe Rare Replay, because that's, you know, but any game that says, oh, this game, rare, sort of, don't care, don't buy it, I don't even open it, I don't look at it, because that seller has started the transaction with a lie. Yeah, because that game isn't rare. And if they're willing to lie and say it's rare, are they willing to lie and say it's in great condition? Well, yes, they are, because I've experienced that multiple times in the past. And it's when I realised that became my first rule. If it says rare in the title, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Straight off. So, presuming that you're looking at a game here, and it doesn't say rare in the title, so you open it up. The second thing that I walk away from straight away is if it's delivered by every. No exceptions whatsoever. Now, occasionally I will accidentally miss it if I'm buying like a basket with half a dozen things in and I've just popped them in the basket. I did this the other day. I actually bought like a little bundle of stuff. I think it was one of the PS4 games that you guys saw that came with every, and I lucked out on that, thank God. But I wouldn't knowingly buy from every. I think I'd slipped it in the basket and I'd forgot to check through the basket. So yeah, that was completely on me. But the reason I won't buy with every is because I've had packages put on the roof before. I've had packages thrown over my neighbour's fence before. I've had packages that have been run over before. And I've had packages that they've almost made me run over before. So there was one that I don't know how I missed it because I was in the house and everything. And they put a card through. And luckily, I was in a rush going out to work sort of thing. I picked the card up, thankfully, before leaving and looked at it and it said, under car. I was like, what? I go out, lo and behold, they've stuck the package under the front of my car. If I'd have driven off without seeing that bit of card, that's, you know, I've totaled my package. It's like, what? You know, I've had stuff arrive where it's been flattened on the corner where, you know, I don't want this to get too ranty. But anyway, if it says, if it says delivered by every, I don't shop from whoever it is, because if they're willing to send it with every, they clearly don't care about it. That's my thought. So, and then the other thing that sort of came from Fighting Angels in a way is I don't generally shop with anyone that's got zero feedback, because that one experience it wasn't a bad experience, but it was a very frustrating and time-consuming experience, which I'll be honest, I don't really have the patience for nowadays. I'm just like, oh no. I'd just be like, no, refund, go elsewhere sort of thing. And as well with that, I don't generally shop if the seller's got less than 98%. That's my cut-off. Now, that at times that seems a bit low, to be honest. There was a seller the other day, actually, probably a couple of months back, and they were on 94%. And I looked at something, and I was like, oh, blimey, they're only 94%. When the feedback's low, I tend to look through and see what the negatives are. And the thing is, they'd only sold, like, I think it was about 14 things during the year or something. And they had one negative out of that. And the negative was, thanks very much, great service, but my son hates the game, or something along the lines of that. And I was like, what? It's like, how can you neg someone because what you've bought is rubbish? That's on you. So yes, So that would be an exception, you know what I mean? That person to me is still a 100% person. That should not be negative feedback because the game that whoever it was bought, their son didn't like. That's ridiculous. So, but yeah, basically under 98%, I don't generally shop if it's sort of one of the sort of slightly bigger sellers. And I try and shop with all people that like 100%, but I understand, you know, now and again stuff goes wrong. So presuming that I'm still buying something, when it turns up, my one main bit of advice to you is film everything. I've been filming stuff for years, like literally just standing my phone on the table as I open it. Because if there's a problem, yeah, then I basically have irrefutable proof of what I was sent, etc. Because, you know, you do still get bad sellers out there. Sellers that will send you the wrong thing and then deny it, or sellers that say, oh yeah, I sent you all 3, and then you open it, there's only 2 in there. If you haven't got that proof on video, then it's your word against theirs. Okay, now eBay are normally pretty good with this, if I'm honest, but if you've got the video evidence, it's done. It's done and dusted. There's nothing that they can say because you can prove it, like, without a doubt. So film everything, and that's part of the reason a lot of the times I put like the film bits in the videos that I do and stuff, because I'd be filming it anyway, so I just sort of try and film it in a better way so it's a little bit less rough, even though it's still rough. Yeah, so you guys can sort of watch me unbox it as well, because, you know, I used to enjoy watching people unbox stuff. So, but yeah, anyway, a couple of other little bits. I don't like buying from stock photos. I will do it occasionally if the thing is cheap and I'm willing to take the risk, or if it's brand new sealed sort of thing, then, you know, I know what to expect because it's brand new sealed. But I don't generally like stock photos when it's something that's listed as like good condition, because I don't know, that's very much subjective on what they consider good condition. And I don't know, I find the older I get, the sort of what I expect something to be in good condition isn't what other people expect to be in good condition. So there you go. And when you're doing auctions, like this auction, like for Fighting Angels that I said about, and I got lucky and got it for like £6 something, never panic bid. Okay, because when you get near the end of the auctions and stuff, if you're bidding and someone outbids you, it normally offers you like 2 or 3 buttons with like other prices on. So maybe it's a game that you're willing to spend £15 on. Fix that in your head before you go in. Bid that. Okay, when it goes £15 and then someone else bids 16 and it goes 17, don't hit the £20 button, because you don't want to pay £20 for it. You want to pay £15 for it, because that's what you wanted to pay beforehand. Okay, I've let so many things go that I'm like, oh, I would have really liked that, because I wouldn't have really liked it at the price that it ended up. Okay, so go in, expect, you know, with set in stone before you start bidding what you're going to pay. Okay, because it's really easy to kind of get into the hype of, oh, I'll just have one more bid, Don't do it, because you're overpaying for stuff. So yeah, there you go. So that is, I think, most of my rules for eBay, and that's kind of what I stick to, what I follow. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to know what you guys think, how you guys do eBay. Do you follow similar sort of sets of rules, or do you just not care and buy anything? Because that's what I did for a very, very long time. And I'll be totally honest, I think I enjoy it now more, because I think 99 times out of 100 I'm getting exactly what I want, exactly how I'm expecting it, sort of thing, as opposed to it being a little bit up in the air, and it was like, oh, this is a bit rough, and oh yeah, it was a stock photo, or it was listed like this, oh no, I've run it over again, you know what I mean? So yeah, there you go. So anyway, I hope some of that is useful for you guys. Remember, you're awesome. I've been Soup, and I will see you in the next one with some eBay packages. Goodbye.